last Tuesday. Let's see, the date was the June 23rd meeting of the Board of Supervisors. From that, this is my first one in a long time. Any procedural things that we have to do to make this official? Other than, all right, we have everyone in attendance. Mr. Black is zooming in from remote, but we have the other 5 members, Mr. Underwood, Ms. Long, Mr. Seeley, myself, and Mr. Thomas, all present in person with smiles on our faces. We need to get a motion to reconvene from someone.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Long and a second from Mr. Underwood to reconvene from the June 23rd meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? And we are officially in our meeting from June 23rd. We have continued it to tonight to address the ongoing revisions to proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance to address energy and utility uses, including solar energy and energy storage facilities, which is text amendment 03-2026. We have an open item for number 2. Before we get into that, I have asked staff to give us an update on the process since the General Assembly has passed a law that we really don't know a whole lot about yet. So we've asked them to be prepared to discuss what the specifics are of that, what we need to know as Board of Supervisor members for Caroline County moving forward. So with that, we'll go ahead and get into number 1. And Mr. Hughes?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So at the end of last meeting, you guys asked that we prepare the document and incorporate the comments that you all had made at the meeting, and then also incorporate Mr. Seeley's comments. And so we've done that. And so that resulted in the addition of some new definitions, some additional definitions, and some syntax cleanups in certain parts. And then when we get to section 23.2, then we'll walk a little bit more specifically through that to look at those. So, so looking at the definitions, a new definition was added for battery condition. And you can see it's a measurement of a battery's current capacity and performance capabilities compared to when it was brand new. See state of health and state of charge. And then also a definition for battery monitoring was added, and a definition for battery management monitoring system. And you can see what those definitions are as well. Battery monitoring is just making sure that the Yes, sir.
I just have a question. If I can we ask questions as you go? You want to wait?
Sure, you can do that.
The battery monitoring process is not identified. What is in place now to do that? I know we talked about it, wanting to know the strength of the battery and the output of the batteries. But is there a process by which that is monitored now, or are there different types of monitoring and language for different ways it's monitored?
Yes, I think depending on the technology, there may be different ways to monitor it. But we have added some language that you'll see later that talks about what we will ask for specifically as it relates to battery monitoring.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. And so these are just additional definitions. We wanted items to be defined because we have incorporated a reference, and we want those to be consistent with that reference. So continuing on, we have also added the definition for energy storage facility. And we have also added a definition for energy storage systems. And as you can see there, it includes, but are not limited to, the following: chemical, hydrogen storage, thermal energy storage, electrochemical to include batteries and flow batteries, and mechanical to include flywheel, pump hydro, compressed air energy storage, electrical to include capacitors, and superconducting magnetic energy storage. So those are all types of technology that are out there as well. So we have just defined those. We did strike public energy generation facility because it was duplicative of the definition. We also added state of charge as a definition, and then state of health, and those were added because they are referenced in some of the new language that we added. So we wanted to be sure that that we had a definition included as well, in case someone did have a question of that about that. And then also we changed the definition of substation, and we kind of broadened it. And the definition of substation now reads a facility together with its associated equipment, structures, and enclosures that serves as a hub for or distribution point within a physically connected public or private utility system that transforms, converts, regulates, steps up or steps down, switches, meters, or otherwise controls the level or flow of a utility service so that it is suitable for delivery to the distribution system or to consumers. And we felt that was a better definition than the one you see that was stricken. It had an electrical installation, and it solely limited it to electricity. And so that's why we changed that to make it a little broader definition. So those were the amendments in Article 2. In the Rural Preservation District, we did what the board asked and took transmission out of public utilities distribution and moved it to the special exception category that there was discussion on. And in Article 5, that was the same as well. Made that change of transmission out of that use and moved it over to uses by special exception. We did the same in the B district, the business district, as well as in the industrial district. That became item 18 in there. And as a reminder, we also alphabetized all of our uses just to make them a little bit easier. We also did the same in the PMUD district, taking transmission and making that a special use, as well as in the PSC district, the PIP district, the PERT district, and then in the accessory category, we added language that did not change from the last meeting. Well, I shouldn't say we added, that language did not change from the last meeting and what you saw originally. There was no change there at all. So in the Article 23, the solar district, I think this is where we need to kind of walk through a little bit. There are recommended language from the Planning Commission, and we just want to be sure that of what the language the board would like to adopt. Is it the amended language of the PC's recommendation, like in the purpose and intent? Yes, I just need to decide which one.
I'm good with the planning commission's definition. I mean,
Okay.
they spent a lot of time.
Okay. And on the on 2032, we just took the word additional out of submission requirements. Then under 4, the PC intended end users of the electricity generated by the project during the application project. So they just expanded that a little bit.
In that case, the planning commission has basically said, take out the if known part. Is it more than likely it would be known in the application process?
I would think so, yes, sir.
Okay, planning commission.
I'm good with that.
Okay. On item 6,
Do you think we need to know the approximate dimensions and the safety data sheets of the solar panels? I think that's something that we're gonna have to be very mindful of all of these pieces of equipment and what their data sheets look like and what they are.
so here the reference is to item B. So you see item 6, and then you have, I'm sorry, item A. Wow.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
everywhere it says 150 to 200,
Right.
can you just swap and replace with 200 instead of giving that range? 'Cause that's up for interpretation.
Right. But I think that would be fine.
I think that's what we said last go round.
That's correct.
If it's 150 and 200, make it 200.
So we'll just
Yep.
say
Search and
200.
replace.
That way they're consistent across all of them.
Yeah,
150, 175, 180, I mean,
but it's interpretation, because I'm saying 151 is okay, based on that.
If I got 3 houses at 160 feet, I'm going by the 150.
Right, right.
Okay.
And then you take away the
So noted.
interpretation.
oh yeah.
So then under item number 9,
Less than 70 yards.
so the PC recommended items 10, 11, 12, 13 here.
And they're all new,
Those were in there before.
but I mean, new to the ordinance.
New to the ordinance, yeah.
Yes.
I would say they've been in there since before we did our first reading.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes, sir.
just got a quick question on that one. Do we have like a like say, I don't know, let's say there's one going in Port Royal or something like that. Is there, I know normally when we have like, we've had data center applications or applications before in the past for housing, they will put like within so many, feet of the proposed site. Is there something in there regarding that? Like, in other words, when we say they have to have a public hearing in Port Royal, is it going to be for the whole county, or is it they have to give out notice to the whole county? Do they have to send letters to the residents who are right up next to it? How is that going to work?
We did not define who they should notify. Just that they should notify. So the Code of Virginia says the adjacent property owners. When we notify, we typically do the adjacents plus 1 as just as a standard policy of staff. But we did not determine, a radius. Now you can certainly add a radius. That's not unusual. If you want to say within a mile, half mile, 2 miles of the project, you could certainly do that.
Would you guys would be okay with adding like a mile of the project?
Sure.
In addition to a general public, I mean,
Or we could do the adjacent landowners plus 1.
Your mic wasn't on, sorry.
Or we could do the adjacent landowners plus one, like what the staff typically does. What's
Yeah, it seems good to me.
any
Allow me
preference?
more contacts,
Well,
possibly.
it could have an impact further than just the adjacent owners plus one.
Preference to go to a radius then?
Yeah, I think a radius makes more sense.
In a
'cause-
town, the radius would make more sense because there are more people affected than if you're in a rural area. You cover more distance with one person plus one.
Is that a
Just-
mile measured from the center of the property?
Right, see?
Yeah.
And maybe Mrs. Long is right, maybe the property owner plus one in a rural place touches more people. It just depends on where it is, that's the dilemma.
Half
A mile
from
from
the-
a mile from the
border.
edge of the,
I would say the
Property
mile
edge.
from the edge of the property is probably a better thing to do than the center.
right.
But
That
if
would
you have
cover all,
a couple thousand acres, then
Yeah, how many more
that would make sense.
people can you estimate, or how much more work can you estimate? Is that gonna be?
That's just gonna depend on the density of the area where the
Yeah.
project is.
See, right now you're doing property owners plus one. So if we go a mile from the edge of the property, you might be doing double the work or triple the work. We don't really know.
You don't know, just like I said, it depends on how dense the area is where the project is.
That's one of the ones we can kind of come back and refine later.
So what do we want to go with right now?
I'm kind of
Uh,
property plus one to me.
I'd-
We send out information on taxes to all our citizens. I would think we could do a half mile or a mile without too much problem.
We wouldn't be doing it, it'd be whoever's putting this in.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mhm.
I'm okay with a half mile if you want to do from the edge of the property, but also there might be people like in my district that's not even close to the project, if it was in Port Royal or something, that might want to come and see, so they have them do a general advertisement like in the county somewhere where anyone can go, but the people within a half mile have to be notified,
Like
you know.
a general public notice in addition to,
Right, a general public notice for anyone, but then if you're within the half mile, then they have to send something via mail of it from the outer edge. That would be a kind of a compromise.
I mean, Mr. Hughes has said that the applicant is gonna do this, which takes the burden off of his office. My only question is, where is the applicant gonna get actual data from? The county GIS system?
Oh, yeah. That's typically what they do. They typically ask us, sometimes they'll ask us for the radius and addresses in it. And a lot of times they have the ability to do it themselves. It's not
Okay.
difficult to find it's all public record, so.
No, and that I understand, but I also understand that we found some inaccuracies in the county GIS after it was converted. Have all those been fixed?
As close to fix as possible, yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm not gonna sit here and say it's absolutely 100%, but we work to get it as close as possible.
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
on item number, on the planning commission recommendation number 10 and number 12, you're using the language needs to be identified. Maybe need to be is not as strong as shall be, because you're using below that, it's a requirement, and one, I see, in 13, you're saying will be required to clean and maintain the facility. So is this something that we say is optional? Because you say need.
I think it's a good point because it's generally shall or may.
Right.
It's either,
So-
generally either or. And we've
Can we-
inserted need
yeah.
into this and.
Can we shall that?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, before we get too far away from the notification, what do we want to go with?
We're going with the half mile
Half mile from the property edge.
property edge. Half mile.
And a general,
And a
announcement.
general
General
countywide
announcement.
announcement.
I guess one of my concerns is depending on what the project is, what type of night lighting there would be. And of course, we're gonna have our overall downlighting, codes, I would assume. But as long as we get it out enough that people aren't surprised by having light shining, you know, in their eyes as they're coming down the road or something,
Emergency lighting is for the event something happens.
it would just be for emergencies.
It says emergency lighting.
All right, I
It
thought,
has nothing to do with because there's no lights there.
All right, I think we've, Ms. Hughes, it's a general public notice and then half mile from property line.
So I have a quick question there. So would you want to use the language of the state code where it says in a paper of general circulation?
I guess would
Freelance Star.
be the freelance store or the
That-
advance at this
That
point.
doesn't cover the whole county.
I'm just saying, that's the language of the state code. I'm just
And
saying,
you're right, that's what we've used as general circulation, but I don't know if people in Port Royal are reading the Freelance Star, Nancy. Are people in Port Royal?
People in Dawn are more likely to get the Times Dispatch.
Yeah, they're not reading it. And
But
the same
but-
for the bottom half of,
Correct.
of my district.
But the
My
problem
only-
still remains, what do we want them to say?
Well, the state code says that.
but my only concern, if you don't clarify, how do we define general announcement? I mean, does that mean
Okay.
they stick a announcement on a telephone pole somewhere? What does that mean?
No.
So I'm
County,
trying to
can we put it on
create
the county website?
some clarification as to
Well,
how you wanted that additional
you have to be.
notice.
Yeah, you're right. And maybe adding advertising through the Carolina Alert System.
That's actually a county.
Yeah, but I mean, the applicant is gonna advertise in the Freelance Star that there's gonna be a solar project on Dawn Boulevard.
A meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Not one of those people
We'll
in
see
Dawn
it.
Boulevard is gonna say,
Right. Yep.
I read the Freelance Star. And the
Yep.
same is true as if it's in Woodford. You know, so how do we help get that advertisement out?
What we do,
Even
on-
though it's the applicant's
what we do on
responsibility.
our end is entirely up to us. I mean, we can choose to put it on the county website
And Carolina Alert.
and Carolina Alert and that kind of stuff.
But is the applicant responsible for whatever those costs are?
I don't think we have costs for doing those two things.
Sure, somebody has to type it up and put it on there. Maybe hours worth of time, but should I be paying for somebody else's project?
If
the applicant-
state code says, I don't think we can pass our local cost on to them to go above that. I think we can,
I'm just asking.
and that's my thought. I'm always looking at from the idea of not going farther left than what the code to ensure that we don't run into a situation where someone says you're beyond the scope of what the intent is.
Yeah, and I understand that, and the same, I think we need to make sure we inform our citizens
Absolutely.
as much as
But
possible.
we can do that. I think we can go above, I think, without mandating.
Then you're saying the county will just do a Carolina Alert that
Absolutely.
says,
We should
there's
ensure.
a solar project planned for Dawn, and it'll blast out to whoever has a
Absolutely.
Carolina Alert.
same way we get information out on our meetings. You know, we can put it on the Carolina Alert, we can put it on the website,
Okay,
you know.
that's a step now we have to do, to make sure we get it out there. Okay.
So you're okay with a paper of general circulation?
Yeah. Paper
Okay.
record or general circulation.
Okay, thank you. All right, so continuing on.
Do we get the shells on those two?
Yes, I got
Okay.
this. Yep, sure did. So over under design and development standards, the language regarding the native vegetative planting materials. I think we had some discussion last time, and I thought the board was okay with this, but just to clarify.
Oh. Yeah, this is the one prohibited if you're gonna run with scissors.
So you can't say prohibited and then say if you're gonna do it.
Right, and you guys wanted to strike
Yeah, I
the,
don't think
if
that's
you're
wrong.
gonna,
Yeah.
that additional
I
language.
like this one better.
So you wanna say prohibited, then you strike the rest, or you wanna say discouraged and you leave the rest?
I thought we said discouraged because in some of the state materials regarding cover, ground cover, there are some non-native species listed by the Commonwealth. So, like I can tell you, in the ENS Stormwater Manual, there are some non-native species that are in there.
Where's the
They're
state?
I think we have to
not
go by,
preferred, but
I think we have to go by the state.
and and
The thought process, again, I think we have to go by what they're thinking or trying to identify what the state code is thinking and allow for some non-native.
yeah,
I-
they're
That's,
trying to
that's their intent.
discourage. Yeah, they're trying to discourage non-native plants,
Okay,
but in some
right.
applications, there may be a plant that's non-native that is, um, you know,
That's suited.
yeah, for slope protection or whatever it may be.
Right, kudzu, you know,
Yeah.
like all that.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Bamboo.
Wrong
Bamboo,
choice.
Yeah,
bamboo's the
bamboo,
other choice.
kudzu, you know, all those, you know,
All right.
oohs.
So you're gonna say
Don't
discouraged.
lose.
Discouraged, yes.
Running with scissors is discouraged, but if you run with scissors, boom.
Do it safe.
That's just the analogy I was trying to make from the words.
Gotcha. Okay. Then continuing on under number 10, under noise. So this is when we had to wordsmith a little bit. So we kind of struck the PC language and added this language: not exceed 55 decibels at the perimeter of the project in accordance with chapter 28. A noise study should be performed at the property boundary by the applicant prior to construction and post-construction when operation commences at the same locations within a 1 mile radius. So essentially, the commission wanted noise measurements within a mile pre and post construction. We just wordsmithed it a little bit to say the exact same thing and make sure that the measurements were taken at the exact same spot, so that if you take a measurement pre-construction from a mile away, you take that measurement post-construction at the same location. So
We talked about inverters and is that in another section now?
that's coming.
Okay.
So moving on. Okay. Then over on items 20 and 21, the PC recommended 21, provide the frequency within which panels will be cleaned and a list of chemicals that will be utilized for cleaning. I'm sorry?
Mandatory that the panels, solar panels are clean.
I don't, it's not mandatory by us, but I'm sure if you're gonna get maximum efficiency at some point, some event, if you had a dust storm or something occur, they wanna go out and clean them to get maximum efficiencies out of those panels. Because dirt and grime on the panels is gonna reduce the efficiencies of the panels.
So,
Large flocks of starlings.
oh, yeah.
So these items 22, 23, and 24 were and 25 were additions by the commission. We got with the, consultation with the county attorney, we just kind of wordsmith these a little bit. We didn't change any of the meaning of what they had said, but we just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. There were some formatting issues that we made, cleaned up. No change to the text or
right.
intent or meaning of what they were wanting to accomplish there. So,
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Number 22 specifies severe weather and acts of God. About acts of Johnny on the neighboring property that shoots a bunch of panels. Would this cover that?
well, potentially it says obligation to remove damaged or dislodged components.
Well, whatever we do,
So
if
under
we just
B,
add it, make sure there's intentional damage
yeah,
is vandalism
Yeah.
is covered.
we got any damage, so that's covered.
Slingshots. Worry about little John.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, moving on to 26, 27, 28, and 29. So these were also recommendations. 26, 27, and 28 were recommendations by the PC. 29 was a recommendation of the board. Says, and I think this, Mr. Sealer, this is one you were looking for. Inverters shall be oriented towards the interior of the site and shall be equipped with sound attenuation that at a minimum focuses sound internal to the project. And the goal there is to try to mitigate the impact of low frequency sounds that, depending on weather conditions or duct zones. Mr. Sealy, is that the correct term? Duct zones?
Ducting,
Ducting.
actually, because it comes and goes. So
Yeah.
the problem with atmospheric ducting is it actually moves sound further than you would normally hear. And then depending on temperature, that layer goes away and then you don't hear them again. And then it comes back and it's worse. And people are like, oh, they've turned them on, they've turned them off. No, it's just ducting by the environment that allows that propagation to go further. And it can be attenuated and it can be exacerbated all by temperature layers at the ground, which is what we hear this. I had somebody with barking dogs and they said they don't have those dogs there all the time. And I'm like, yeah, they're there all the time. No, because sometimes I never hear them. And it's all about ducting. And they put up a fence. And when they did that, it got to be summer and that went away. And then when winter came again, they were right back. And they go, oh, our fence is failing. I'm like, no, it's not failing. It's just different. The sound travels differently depending on atmospherics.
Concerts.
Yep. So do we ever talk about berming? Had you run that by the?
Well, I thought when we, in our discussion,
I like attenuation because that means they can do whatever they need to attenuate it.
Right.
Berms or whatever they've got to do.
and we could create a less than desirable aesthetic with a berm because they would have to go in and clear to construct the berm.
That's right.
And then, yeah, you might.
But I like the attenuation. I think that should be, because you can always go back and revisit that.
Okay. Under decommissioning, the commission recommended some language there for A.
The form that's specified here, what is that something that we currently have? We just give them the form, say, either you do this, these are the 12 things you need to address, or what
Where are you looking at the data? The data.
shall be shall be in a form prepared by the county and include the following. One, it's the last sentence in one.
So that language is directly out of the Code of Virginia, and the decommissioning, and Max, tell me if I'm wrong, will be a part of the siting agreement, I believe, or can be part of the siting agreement.
That sorry. To answer your direct question, Mr. Farhan, that form I don't believe exists currently.
Okay.
It was included in the language of the ordinance to allow for the county to have a measure of control over what the form of that agreement would be.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So are we okay with the replacement in A, the language in blue?
I'm good with it. Again, the data sheets, I think, are gonna be instrumental on knowing what to do and what's actually there.
We're just creating the form. They gotta fill it out.
Here's about under number 1. Read it and prepared.
Go either way, prepare.
Is the information, I'll wait till he's finished. Mr. Hughes,
So
the information in the form that we create, is there a template, a standard list of items that will be in that, so then I said, then we gotta create that form first, based on something, and then
so
prepare the form for them to,
so might I make a suggestion?
okay,
So if the applicant creates and prepares it, we get to review it and determine the final form of that document. And so this puts the onus and the work on the applicant and not on county resources. So they would prepare the document and submit it to us for review and markup. And so, like I said, if we have to create and prepare it, it creates a lot more work on our side versus on their side. It's a lot easier for us to review and mark up a document than it is to prepare a document, because that document is going to be prepared by our legal counsel as it will be reviewed by our legal counsel. So,
Right, so what you're saying is let the applicant do the rough draft work, give it to you, and then you and council would work to refine it and make sure everything we want is in there. Saves you from tying up employees. That makes sense.
All right. Forward. Well,
And I'm good with replacing A.
Sorry, excuse me, I can clarify in reality, what this ordinance in effect would do is our office would work with Leon's office to create a template form decommissioning agreement that covers all of the requirements within the ordinance in language that we are comfortable with from a county standpoint. The applicants would then be required to use that form agreement. They would prepare it, submit it to us to make sure it is okay. Correct. We would create the form.
all right.
so we're going to add
Create, I guess. We're gonna create the template. We're not gonna tell them what goes in it. We'll review what they give us. Have to be in it. They have to provide.
Okay. Then going to I.
Did we lose it?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. Thank you.
So in I, we've added, there's a board recommendation to add the plan to include removal of the panels and specify the location of disposal at a certified facility. And we jumped over to page 13. Oh, wait a minute. This is the discussion we had last time about the salvage materials, and we were going to remove the salvage value of the materials.
Yeah,
And-
because we keep hearing salvage value like it's some big amount and they get to deduct a surety, and I'm just not sure at the end of the day there's any. I just don't think it's worth letting them add that to an surety value that it has no value, and they're gonna tell us, oh, but it's worth 50% of the project, and I, I just don't see it, because I know that salvage for a lot of this stuff is just going down.
Right.
Or doesn't exist.
So that language is eliminated, and then with that elimination, the black line language also needs to be eliminated as well. So. And then continuing to the next one, the only change here in between what the board had initially was okay with the PC, wanted to strike bond and insert cash.
I don't remember getting rid of bond. I did remember having a question about cash, but I mean, if somebody's, I think we talked about brings a suitcase of cash to the planning office, you guys will have a nightmare recounting it and then run into the bank with it, but.
Letter of credit, irrevocable.
And my construction world brain, what's the thoughts on eliminating bond from this? Is there a trend that we're not aware of?
No. That was a recommendation from the planning commission to maybe encourage non-bond use of surety, but there's not a trend of going away from bonds as a means of securing those payments.
But now, before you go away, the bond is basically money the county can access for any wrongdoing, right?
Correct. Connected to whatever it has been posted.
Yeah, I mean, connected to the project, of
Yes.
course. So we can attach a bond at any point in time and say you did X wrong, so now you owe us $50,000 to repair that. Correct?
The decommissioning bond is to secure their performance under the decommissioning plan and the written agreement accompanying that. So yes, if they did not satisfy their performance obligations on the decommissioning,
Yeah.
yes,
And it's purely related to decommissioning. You, as the applicant, have said you're going to take away all the panels and recycle them somewhere, but you left half of the panels before you left. So I can then, or the county at that point can then say, we're going to go after the bond. And my point is, when we go after the bond as the county, is that a legal battle, or is that we've got evidence you didn't do something, we're going to attach the bond and get our money back?
it is, in my experience, a legal battle to access those funds.
Well,
Well, that's the normal
There-
thing, but the point is how we get our,
it's a civil matter either way.
Right.
I mean, it's, you'll end up in court one way or another. Question, what was the discussion that prompted the removal of bond? Do you recall, Mr. Hughes?
I don't specifically recall that discussion. I just know that it was in that language.
We can't remove the bond.
Max, one other question. a more likely scenario, hopefully it never happens, but a solar facility that leases property, didn't choose to buy it, leases it. 1 year from the end of its life, chooses just to unincorporate or goes bankrupt. The bonds are tracked by the county. There's a third party that's tracking that it's maintained, correct? When the irrevocable letter of credit doesn't survive a bankruptcy court, does it?
Well, that's right. It would be an asset subject to the foreclosure proceedings. The bank assets that are secured by the irrevocable letter of credit. The county would be a creditor of sorts in that scenario, but you're right. Those are liquid assets. Yeah. The bond is a contractual obligation of a insurer.
Right. Okay.
Really, the only difference is the bond is gonna be there. Right?
The only difference is the bond is going to be there. A letter of credit theoretically won't if they declare bankruptcy.
Theoretically, it would not. That's correct.
Yeah, and the other part of that theoretical is if they had a mortgage on the building or whatever they were doing, that would probably be in line ahead of our letter of credit.
As any secured party would
Kind
be.
of slow with these yeses.
So,
He's thinking. He's thinking. He wants to give you the right answer.
But those are all yeses, and it explains really, I think the concern, at least on my part, of making sure those funds are available to fix whatever problems arise.
correct. Any secured party would be priority
Right.
for any liquid assets.
Okay.
Cause the bond is through a third party,
Right.
which is just like your insurance. So even though the company would go belly up, the bond is still there because they paid for that bond to have that bond available. So even though that entity may not be there, we still have a right to that bond if the work has not been done. So it doesn't go away. It's just a matter of who else is there also, but it doesn't go away.
But
Because the company goes away.
the company purchased that $1 million bond for maybe $100,000, like insurance. It's not, they didn't put up $1 million for $1 million bond.
No,
No, the ongoing premiums are generally less than 1%.
1%?
Well, that's a good point. So a decommissioning bond. So we do a survey and they say it's $23 million to decommission at the end. And we're asking for an surety bond for decommissioning because that's the section we're in, correct? So the 23 million decommissioning, they don't have to put up the whole 23 million to decommission. It's just 10%?
1%.
1%.
1%?
Yeah.
They,
$200,000.
it would be an ongoing premium cost for
Right.
that insurance policy of the bond.
Even though we know that's how much it's going to cost to decommission it.
Correct. The bonding company is saying we understand the
assume-
liability.
We assume
Right.
the risk, right?
But
Risk
the applicant has vanished.
Right.
They paid $230,000 as their premium. They vanish. And now I got to go to court with the bond holder,
You gotta go anyway.
right?
Or the bond company can perform. There are terms where the bond company could step into the shoes of the obliged party to
How do we assure that part? How do we make sure that they step in so we're not going to court to fight over something that
You
they've
can't.
agreed to do?
You can't.
negotiated resolution?
Yeah. You can't.
Negotiated
See,
resolution.
What we're
You
trying
would
to do is
make a demand and then you would have that
we
conversation.
we don't know all scenarios.
Oh, no, I
And
agree.
so
And they're LLC.
right. So what we have to do is to hold the bond process to our benefit as closely as possible. But other than that, the legal process is going to be the legal process. We have no control over the legal process. it's going to turn into, should something happen, it's going to be legal juggling.
A settlement to some degree less than Mr. Seeley's $23 million example is probably what's gonna happen.
There's going to be some legal.
Because the bond
juggling.
company's gonna say, hey,
Or the bonding company could decide that they can do it cheaper with somebody they already have a relationship with. I mean, that's,
yeah, that's a
and
possibility.
I will say this, bonding
can't- we
companies aren't
can't-
dumb, and if they don't trust you, they're not gonna bond you. And
Yeah.
and if you,
We can't
you-
regulate all.
correct.
What we have to do is
No,
tighten this up as much as we can.
and that's what I'm saying is
I
the
just
most
think it's-
protection we can have.
I
Things
just
will
think
happen.
it's news because we keep hearing, we've heard this from many folks in the past. We'll put up a bond, which to me always meant that they would put up a bond for the amount that was gonna happen. And that wasn't understood. It's just like a road bond for a subdivision.
Right.
They put up a bond for the top coat, and I understood that we went to do a top coat somewhere and the bond was less than half the amount that it was gonna cost to put top coat on. And my question was, who's responsible for that? And I guess that's my point here, is that this is kind of like the top coat. You know, when we get to needing to do this,
Mhm.
is the money really there to do it, or is it just a figment of our imagination because everybody that is responsible is gone? Yeah, but we're not holding really anything with any value unless we spend a good bit of money going to court to get it.
Just hold the paper.
Right, we're holding a note,
Paper.
and the note says, I'm gonna pay you this much money, maybe.
I will
That's
say
it.
the statute now requires a renewal
Every
estimate
five.
every 5 years. So that is some amount of adjustment.
Solace, yeah.
But again, we're just renewing something that's a piece of paper, and if the cost doubles
Correct.
to remove it, it's just the piece of paper gets worth twice as much. And our court costs probably double,
Twice as less.
twice
Yeah.
as less.
I think they're gonna do some pro bono work for us in court, right? Oh, you're quick with that no, aren't you? Yeah, thanks.
I was gonna say something must have broken up there. I don't know.
Yeah. Going through a tunnel, huh? Well, really, I think we're
We're gonna put the
about where
bond
we are.
back.
Yeah,
All right.
so bond, comma, irrevocable letter of trust,
I think
letter
If-
of credit.
that might be the original. Let me check 1 second.
I think the bond is gonna go away because the bond is gonna be in somebody else's favor.
They're all gonna be the same thing if they go bankrupt.
Then there's no remedy.
Yeah.
And then cancel you.
If you skip out on a bond, and the parent company, they'll get another. So there's a business decision to be made.
You'll never get another bond if you fail.
Just to clarify on that discussion, is the board supportive of the PC's recommendation, but including bond back in? So adding cash as one of the optional. I don't think it's necessarily realistic that someone would post a decommissioning bond in cash, but
I mean, it could be light reading for somebody, give them some amusement when they do read it, so. I don't think it hurts them to accept it and then include bond back into it, accept it as
Yeah.
written.
okay. And that would be to also account for the removal of the salvage value as recommended.
Correct.
Okay.
Hang on. This next one's gonna be a discussion too. So this was a recommendation in blue recommended language by the planning commission about changing ownership. We had to strike or panel changes that would give a new assessed value from that language. So because
We were
Can't-
told we couldn't do that, correct?
that is correct. Yeah.
Well, I think we need to know who we're dealing with, and the bond would then also change. Is that not true if somebody buys it? Is the bond transferable, or does that bond have to be redone? And do they have to have proof that they've got a bond for decommissioning if it's sold?
The decommissioning plan needs to be updated, including the cost estimate and a new financial guarantee anytime there's a change in ownership under the new state code.
So we do need to know if there's a change, because it does change. It does ripple a little bit into what we're keeping track of.
I'm sorry, what needs?
We need to keep track of who the owner is.
Yes.
So we do need to be notified if if it's sold and there's a new owner, because that does cascade into other events that take place.
Correct. The new statute would require any change in ownership.
So that's a good paragraph to keep still. Okay.
All right, so moving on to site plan requirements. PC recommended 1516 as additions. And then the board recommended a roadway condition assessment and analysis shall be performed with the scope of the RCCA agreed upon by VDOT and the county. So this goes back to the question of the road network prior to construction, you know, cataloging what it is prior to construction, cataloging any degradation of the road, and tying it to the applicant for repair.
Actually, VDOT actually goes out and does what? There's a survey they do on a road before a project starts, don't they?
Not always, but this specifically requires that be done. And so what would happen, like in the AWS situation, we convened, got together with VDOT and the applicant, went out, identified the scope of the area to be cataloged. The applicant went out, cataloged it, videoed it, photographed it, made comments on the condition of the road, submitted that to the county and VDOT for review. We looked at it, made some comments, and then it was amended, and we agreed upon, you know, the conditions that were going to need to be repaired. Because in road construction, there will be some degradation of the road that would have occurred prior to the project, and it's not necessarily fair to have the applicant fix it when it's not necessarily something they created. So the degradation could have started 5 years beforehand. We don't want to make them come back and have to pay for something they didn't cause. So, but VDOT, it is a site visit, and I mean it's a
It's a process.
It's a process. It is. It is.
Mr. Hughes, did they ever use drones so you have a film or a picture history of the road and how it changes?
They actually do it on the ground, videoed on the ground, not by drones. Alrighty, so we're now to section 2, energy storage facilities. And PC recommended changes to the purpose and intent or purpose of the district. I don't recall many
I
comments.
think we were good with that when we went
Yeah.
through it the first time.
And then also they recommended some additional language in the project description.
I'm good with accepting the planning
Okay.
commission recommendation.
And then down in I, PC recommendation, adding a material safety data sheet on the exact type, size, and storage devices. This is when we added a material safety data sheet just for clarity in that language. So,
I'm good with it.
All right, sounds good.
and then in D, the commission recommended removing D, but staff left it there because in case something did happen, then we wanted the ability to, we wanted noted that we wanted to have a process. So,
Okay,
All right.
leave.
yeah. Okay, and then so Craig, can you scroll back up to community meeting? I just want to note that here we're going to include the same requirements as in the solar facility for the notice, the half mile, and the paper of general circulation.
See, and this is gonna be important because people won't realize, they'll see solar but won't realize batteries. And being within a half mile of a battery could really have an impact on your life. So I do believe people need to be aware of what's there. And again, the smoke, in the event there is any, does drop articulate all the way wherever that smoke plume travels.
And Mr. Hughes, similar to Mr. Seeley's point, we did say it was possible for a solar facility to not do battery storage. And they could proffer out not doing battery storage. If they proffer out not doing battery storage, the special exception process, no matter who owns it, would include not doing battery storage, right?
I think that's true.
I got the impression the last we spoke about this that we weren't sure that they could even proffer that out. That's that's marinate a little bit with you.
Our position is that the conditional zoning would be an effective way to limit battery energy storage. That you could say there is no accessory battery energy storage.
The applicant can say
The
that.
applicant could say that.
Only the applicant can say that. So I'm the applicant. I come to the board, I get a pure solar panel facility. I sell it to Mr. Forehand. He can only do solar panels.
Correct.
Except, let me throw this caveat, I get another piece of property that adjoins it. I can then say, well, that property wasn't in that, and I have a battery, I have a solar facility, and that facility is only panels, but this property that's new, and I can add at any time, could be battery storage only because it's in conjunction with what's there.
No.
But don't we have a
No,
right?
no.
to-
Whoa, we're not attorneys, let him answer.
It would need to be added to the special exception.
Right.
So
So,
Yeah, we didn't need to be attorneys to answer that question. That was an easy no. You can't say, I'm an adjoining property, I automatically get the
No,
rights.
they buy the property
It's
and they
still-
say, this is my battery, because the law is not a normal law. This law that we're dealing with is not normal legislation.
but it's.
And I've talked to two other folks about this, and they're saying that is, because of the way this legislation's written, is it is an automatic accessory use, that it can be added anytime after the solar facility is actually created.
If it's part of, that's.
It can
that's what-
always be added, and it
Yeah,
doesn't have to
But
be
not for a
added to,
standalone.
But if he proffers it out,
on
Then
those
you
pieces
can't-
of property, but you buy two other that adjoin it.
and those have to go through special exception
That's
process.
right.
Well,
Which you can say, I don't think this is a good use because of whatever reason you have, or you can say it's a good use. But there's another process before you can add battery storage if the applicant proffers that out.
Well, battery storage is not standalone anyway.
Correct.
it's not
A and
standalone,
B,
but it does
You can have
adjoin.
you can have A by itself, you can have A and B,
Right.
you cannot have B by itself.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah, what,
To
be his
make
battery.
sure that that's not the case, because I've talked to two folks that have said, if you add it, under this current legislation, they are entitled to battery storage if they have a solar facility. And it's the only piece of legislation that's ever said, if you have A, you are entitled to B.
It has to be a special exception approved solar facility.
Okay,
So in that case, would we be wise if we approve a solar field to specifically put a disclaimer that we don't allow battery storage? Is not
No,
allowed?
no,
we can't do that.
We can't do that, but
We
the
can't do that.
applicant can say, I'm only gonna put up 42 solar panels, and I promise via proffer never to use battery storage. The applicant can do that,
They can agree to it.
Right,
So
correct.
we can
But
put
we
it in.
can't. in
but we
any way-
can't force the applicant to
Right.
do
So
that.
it's by right.
They learned this from the residential,
That's good. Right. That's
Yeah.
right.
all that, years back. So that's, if they
Um,
offer it, it's one thing.
Right. The siting agreement would be a potential other avenue if there were a siting agreement associated with that solar facility.
All right.
Right. It's a solar.
So under general requirements continued, the board recommended adding this language at the last meeting, and then the last part of that sentence was stricken because of the probably inability to remove materials prior to leaving the site. So it just says that the tank has to be evacuated. Yes, remember that conversation.
Mhm.
All right. Proceed.
We didn't pass the water thing that you and I just discussed, did we?
The working.
The water, the amount of water and the things we talked about
we're not there
during
yet.
dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we
Right.
hit
I
that
know
again.
exactly what you're talking about. I'm waiting for it to come up.
Okay.
So then
Mhm.
we jump over to,
You can take it
all right.
to it.
So these are all items that the planning commission recommended including.
It was in here. It was in these.
Difference between that and what we just read. Back to, you go back to where we were, no, the other way.
He's looking for the anti-stinks. It's number 24. The applicant shall provide water storage tanks.
No, I
Yeah.
was talking about,
You're my up above. I know what you're talking about because it got moved.
Okay,
What was it, Mr.
I see it.
I think Mr. Arnold was asking different.
I was asking about, go back to up to number
16.
16, I think it's 16, yeah. Oh, no, keep going, go back to 15. Right there. Isn't 14 saying the same thing as we just talked about in the bottom of, about removal if something occurs? Seems redundant to me.
But that was for a solar panel, and this is
That-
for the battery.
Say that again?
No,
The
we're still
little
in the-
Johnny shooting the panels was in the solar panel
No,
portion.
no, it's in the same. This is about the
This is a fire.
capacity and removing the liquid from the holding
Alright,
tank.
gotcha, okay. So this is the balance,
Mr. Hughes,
okay.
on 14, can we insert by qualified third party?
You don't want the Ohio situation where they were driving down the road in a rainstorm emptying their tank.
No.
Cars paint peeled and.
Qualified third party identified by the county.
Thing is, they're going to know who the qualified people are better than we will.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna pick you to identify something that I think is a problem. I might pick Jeff because he's my buddy and he's gonna pass it.
How about an agreement?
Happens every day.
approved by.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they know who the third party people are.
Go to DC, you'll see,
They're friends. They're friends with Jeff.
You'll see a reflection pool, 14 million.
You know, it's how do I make sure we insert ourselves into that to again protect the county?
We can approve the third party person.
If that's what you want, but then I got to investigate to make sure Jeff's not friends with you when you get the contract or whatever. That's fine. That's as close as we're gonna get probably.
You're gonna get some backdoor, no matter what, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
It's gonna happen.
Okay.
So we're inserting language to be approved by the county.
The qualified third party is approved by the county.
Is performed by a qualified third party, approved by the county, and a report submitted to the county.
Okay. Any questions regarding any other items here?
All right, 1 through 22, everybody good with those? Before we move the page. All right, say 23.
I got mine as big as
Any issue or agreement with 23 to 26?
So 25 there, great. Just a note that the applicant shall be responsible for all costs incurred by the county for review and verification of required data/reports required by this code. So,
Good with that?
okay. And then here we begin some board recommendations, 26 through, I think we ended up at 37 or 30, and then we'll pick up the PC recommendations. These are related, 26 through 30 are related to monitoring of the containers.
The number 30, that would relegate them to basically using swamp water to fill their fire suppression tank with.
Or trucked in water.
Well, trucked in is still potable water typically.
Not from here. You got better words we did play.
You want to insist on purple water?
No. You want clean water that's not going to mess up the fire system.
Okay.
But,
Well, purple water is clean.
I don't know.
I don't want to.
What's that? Right.
Yeah. We can't use county water anyhow.
It's just an industrial cooling though. It's just fire suppression. Ms. Hughes, we're open for your suggestion on that water that does not come from a well on site or from a Caroline County public water system.
Yeah, we grappled with the on-site wording because then if they would go 500 feet down the road and are off their property and they drill a well, that's not on-site water.
Right.
So we didn't want to have on-site language there.
I mean, what we want them to do is truck it in from another locality
Correct.
with more than likely a surface water But how do we just need to articulate that somehow, some way. What's that?
We could say you could potentially add at the end of that, sourced in Caroline County. Projects are not using water in pound.
I mean, if it's their own rainwater pond, I don't really care.
Right.
They skim it off the top and after it's settled, that's one thing, but well, our intent, you can wordsmith it, but I just don't want to, force them to use, pond water, fire suppression system where they could suck up a frog and clog up a sprinkler head or something. I don't know. I mean,
Could they?
Can we make this more restrictive and say water not from in the county? Max, can we do that?
Again, there are no statutory prohibitions specific to battery energy storage, so there's a lot of flexibility in what regulations the board chooses to place on these facilities. So if the important part is protecting the water resource of the county and what would be available for public consumption, that is a legitimate policy priority to incorporate into the ordinance.
what are they calling an impounded water body at this point?
I'll let Leon address that language.
An impounded water facility? That's the question? Yeah, so a pond, the intent of that language is that, fire services may have dry hydrants at an existing pond, and we didn't necessarily want a facility to use a resource that is there for fire services, suck a pond dry. We have a house fire or a need for that facility and it's not available. So the impounded covers ponds. I mean, the goal is to protect the county resources. And so,
Yeah, groundwater, basically.
Yeah.
But,
If we say not. If we just say not sourced in the county, water not sourced in the county, that may be too restrictive, but they would have to say they have a problem with that particular item during the special exception process. And then we could hear during their special exception an alternative to what we've said, right? I mean, that's the normal process.
It is, but I don't think we built in an escape clause into the ordinance. So typically that occurs because there's some escape language that says the board has the option to accept a different condition. And I don't think that language is included.
Oh, you mean at all?
Yeah.
or another alternative approved by utilities and the board of supervisors.
Well, won't they have storage tanks in case of a fire on site?
Yeah,
So
that-
can't they truck it in and
Yeah,
fill
uh,
the
Not
the
just, that we've
containers
been talking, they were,
and just leave it at that?
Well, where's it coming from?
right, where is it
Well,
coming?
wherever you, they have to buy it if they can't. We've
Yeah,
already
they'll
told them
come
they
to the
can't
town
use
hall.
those.
It's Super Alpha.
Hey, what would that do?
Does that help fires or not?
I guess we could leave it as is and just put,
Or you could add from a source approved by the county.
Bingo.
or the groundwater management system sourced outside of the Virginia groundwater management.
I think approved by the county is easier.
Okay, that's fine.
Approved by the county.
Okay.
Because these will all go to the planning commission first anyhow. All these applications. And they'll have a chance to vet all of that.
You're correct, Supervisor Thomas, that in theory, all of these are accessory only to approved special exception solar. So there is an opportunity still to place further conditions on any potential energy storage facilities because they are not allowed without it being accessory
Right.
to special exception solar at this point. So just to make sure the record is clear for the purposes of the ordinance, that requirement would be that the applicant use, where is it? The project shall use, I think, but it would be a not. The project shall use water from a source approved by the county that does not impact the county's public water resource.
The project shall not impact the county's water resources and shall use water from an alternative source approved by the county. Sound fair?
Yeah.
He said it was gonna be half an hour. He said, I knew.
All right. Yeah. Guess we're on 31 now.
That is correct.
It's a basketball.
Must be the end of the evening basketball, changing, must be game 2 start or something.
So 36 and 37 are board recommendations. And 36 was repeated from the prior section. Oh, let me go back. So in the fiscal analysis report, PC recommended adding by an independent third party.
Qualified.
Qualified. That's the
Can't
first
just be
third.
anybody.
Okay. And then that brings us to the final section, which was section 3, which was the addition of substations. And staff also with language included in some of the board recommendations regarding the monitoring systems. Staff is recommending that we add an appendix to the ordinance and include this diagram, which is out of the NFPA 855, and it is a flow chart essentially of monitoring facilities. And so we're going to include it as an appendix to the document.
Those buildings look awfully close together. We're
So-
not doing mileage. We're
So that's
doing
not really,
footage.
those are not buildings, those are internal workings of a system. And then it kind of walks you through the processes that you would need to go through and look at the monitoring. It relates, excuse me. It refers back to items, let's see, 26 through 29. It's more of a technical guide. So then that would also, the last section is the substation section where we talked about the minimum setback requirements for substations in relation to dwellings, schools, churches, and public rights of way. And this was language that was there previously and there were no comments on. So that concludes all of the proposed updates, both from the board and the planning commission. And if there aren't any additional questions,
I just want to thank everyone for all their hard work. I know y'all been beating it, and the planning commission has spent lots of time on this, so much appreciation for that.
and Mr. Chair, before we do that, I want to thank everyone on my staff and the county attorney for, putting this as the full focus of what we've been doing for the past couple of weeks to try to accomplish this goal in such a short amount of time that the General Assembly imposed on the counties. It was probably 4 months worth of work done in a couple of weeks. So
Yes. So excellent effort and much appreciated.
Yeah,
Much appreciated.
exactly.
All right, with that, we'll go to item number 2. Ms. Hughes?
No, we
staff-
gotta vote on this.
Oh, okay. I was optimistic.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance to address energy and utility uses, including solar energy and energy storage facilities as developed for text amendment 03/2026. Is that good enough?
with the
Second.
With the planning commission and the board of supervisors recommendations.
All right, we have a motion,
I have a second. I'll second.
and Mr. Black seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous, 6-0. We have adopted our ordinance on such. The last item for the evening, Mr. Cully and Mr. Max, is an education for us regarding the General Assembly's passing of the 1% optional sales tax.
Briefly, I'm not coming through as good as Mr. Black. The General Assembly's passed legislation to allow for localities to request a referendum from a circuit court to approval for the anytime. It can be a special election or a regular election. So just from a time frame, if you were to want to request this referendum for November, we would have to pass a resolution, and there's some determination of when that might need to be done, whether it can be done now or have to be done after July 1. I'll let the legal speak to that. But the judge would have to then sign that order by the 21st of July. If the referendum passes, then you would have to have pass an ordinance, and there's some advertising requirements for some things that they are specific to some of that legal as well. But in that ordinance, you'd have to be specific on what project you would be doing. And if you weren't using bonds for it, you would have to put a time frame that 1% would be in effect up into a maximum of 20 years. I think if you're using bonds and borrowing a 30-year note, then you could have it pay those bonds over 30 years. But you kind of need to have some idea if you're going to ask the voters to approve a referendum, what is the project you're doing? And I don't think that the school board and the board are remotely together on what project we would be doing. But from a legal perspective, I know Max has done more research on that. So if you want to add anything.
Well, Charlie, before you let him go, the 1% is an additional 1%,
Correct.
or is it? It's not 1% of what we're already collecting.
No, it's 1% sales tax increase. So whatever it is, it's another 1% that the public would pay sales tax. And then
That's what I want to make sure it is.
Yeah, it's about $4.5 million, I think.
Okay.
You said that equates to about $4.5 million.
That's what we budgeted for the
1%.
1%.
Right. That would go
Directly for school construction.
for school.
Could be renovation, construction.
Could it be like a bus garage as well?
I think so.
Could it be it could be a bundle of projects together
I would think so,
as long as they're identified.
as long as they're identified.
With values or at least estimates.
I would think you would want to have that if you're trying to get a referendum. When we got the referendum done for the high school in Madison, the school board had asked the board would they do this high school project, and the board went back, well, I think you need to do some work at Madison as well. So the number went up for that. And then we looked at what the borrowing costs were and went up to 26 and change from the 25 that we had gotten from the schools. So we at least had 25 million to give them. And that was what went out to the public, that, that's what we were doing. And of course, then we added on that this will also be, tax increase of, was it 8 cents? I can't remember. It's gotten so far back.
I think it was 6.
6. So it was six at the time.
6 because we had to do the
We
radio
also-
system
public
at the
radio
same
was
time.
way less.
Right.
Borrowing, but yeah, we added those both on. But as far as the referendum on the schools, we told them what we were doing, what the estimated cost was, and what the tax rate was for that referendum. Obviously, for this one, the tax rate is the 1% sales that everybody that would be, spending any money locally would be paying.
There's no real estate tax increase associated with this particular option.
No, this was
The other one was a real estate
correct,
tax
because
increase.
that was basically a GO bond.
Right.
So it was a general obligation bond based on voter referendum. But I'm saying you still had to do that education piece, and there are specific requirements that you do it for this sales tax, that you actually have to identify the projects.
Now, are we sure of the time frame?
The July, I'm pretty sure we're sure of all of that.
Because I know we have to go back 90 days at least, which gets us to August.
It's a little dynamic
Thank
right
you.
now because what was passed by the General Assembly in the budget bill was an extra timeline being 105 days from the election. The governor proposed amendments to that specific section, which haven't yet been approved by the full General Assembly, that reduced that timeline back to the normal 81 days for a special election referendum. So that's probably the target that we're looking at if it passes, those amendments pass, which would give a little space to the board to be able to adopt something later in July, early August, to get to the circuit court for the order. But that is not, there's nothing set in stone right at this moment.
So the best you understand, if we had a bundle of projects that would equate to $50 million, and our intent was to implement this 1% tax to pay debt service on that $50 million over X number of years, that would be an acceptable plan for them to vote on.
The resolution just has to authorize the referendum itself. The specific details of those capital projects don't need to be known right at that moment. That's correct.
All right. Any other questions? Mr. Black?
No, I have none. I've been asking about this. I mean, just kind of curious as to how it's come out. But no, I have no questions on it. We definitely need to get with the school board and kind of finalize what project. We know that projects need to be done, but I think we need to definitely in the last one we were in agreement with the school board what needed to be done, and right now we're not close. So I think there needs to be some sort of coming to an agreement between us and the school board about what needs to be done before we can go to the public and say, I mean, this is what we're going to do. So, I think that would be a huge step in the right direction if we go this way. But in the end, the voters will have to decide.
Max? Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out a little closer. November 3rd is election day, I think, coming up, right?
Correct.
So that's the 307th day of the year. And you said we would go back 81 normally or 105.
Correct. So it's that the 105 days date would have been July 21st of this year
105, okay.
to have the order entered by the circuit court for the special election.
And 81
Is
24 days short of that.
right. Sometime in
So that'll get us in August.
Correct.
So there's theoretically time if we wanted to really do this and we had plans and could meet with the school board to figure out a plan, possibly August, we could do something.
Correct. The current thinking is it'll be 81 days, not 105 days. But that's
Why
also-
would they make this harder? Is that the $1 million question?
Contact your legislators.
Unless the intent was, oh, we don't want you to do it this year, so we're going to make it damn near impossible for you to run this through to get it for this year's November election. I don't know. That's a head scratcher.
That's a very good point, Mr. Chairman. I will also note that depending on the final language of the budget bill that is passed, we'll have to analyze the Scott v. McDougal case to determine whether or not those early voting timelines apply to the referendum requirement.
Oh, so this could be like redistricting all over again.
That would put it out of possible.
Correct.
We pass the referendum and then the court strikes it down.
Right.
But I mean, we theoretically have some ideas of what we want to do. So we just need to refine those. Yeah. I was a Boy Scout.
Any other questions? All right. Any closing board comments before we call it an evening? Mr. Black, you got anything for us?
Nope, no comment.
Okay, Mr. Thomas?
Actually, I was in a jury pool today and did not get selected. But I did wonder what the county could do to help all of the jurors that showed up, 30-some people, with no place to park. So I don't know what the court can do or what we can do, but when there's a jury selection thing, we need to figure out where to put all those people. And maybe we can help somewhere. Just a thought. I'm open to any ideas.
All right. Oh, I have none, Mr. Seeley.
I have none.
Ms. Long?
I just want to thank staff for all their hard work. It's been sort of a weird month with things being changed and we're got another one in front of us, but we'll see how that goes out. But I did want to wish everyone to have a safe and happy 4th of July and to tell you that from 10 to 2 in the town of Port Royal on the town green this year, not up at the church, but on the town green. They will be having their 4th of July celebration, so we would love to see everyone there. Thank you.
Mr. Seeley, you got some.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the planning staff, because this was a Herculean lift in a subject matter that is not really fair to all those folks. There was a lot of technical language that needed to be added that was not fair. And I don't know why the state has until the 28th of November or December to come up with this, but we had till 1 July. which I thought was really interesting, why the localities were punished. But I do want to thank the staff because there was a lot of moving parts in all this. And I read 5 versions of this, so I know there's probably 7 or 8 from them. So the number of versions and keeping track was no small feat. So I want to thank them for all that.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Underwood.
But yeah, again, just want to echo what Mr. Sealy said. Certainly want to give thanks to all the folks who participated in this effort, and just job well done. Well done. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I will, one last thing is we have several Carolina County Little League teams that have won District 15 and are headed to their respective state tournaments. I believe the girls juniors, the girls majors, and I think the boys seniors is in the championship as well. And I'm probably have forgotten someone else, but again, there's local kids literally knocking it out of the park. So good luck to all of them. They'll be competing. I know some of them start this coming Friday, so over the holiday. So, all right, we will entertain a motion to recess until July 29th at 6 p.m. in the Community Services Center for a work
So
session.
move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Underwood and second from Mr. Thomas to recess. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are now in recess until July 29th at 6 p.m. in the Community Services Center for a work session with the schools. Thank you.